An army of policemen encircled the Banco Rio in Acassuso, Argentina, in 2006, and they engaged in hours of negotiations with a brazen gang of criminals inside. As the country watched on live TV, the crooks took hostages and demanded that the cops serve them pizza. Snipers positioned atop trees, prepared to fire at any moment, only to find the robbers missing. What happened in the bank at Acassuso that day, and what was the genius plan? No suspects were discovered when law police raided the bank. They had disappeared without a trace, allegedly stealing items and cash worth $20 million from safety deposit boxes. "We used a tunnel, not to break in, but to break out," claims Fernando Araujo, the mastermind of the heist. Artist and occasional marijuana farmer Araujo began formulating the scheme in 2003, when he rented a home next to the bank and started investigating the sewage pipes underneath. He called his plan the Donatello Project, partly due to inspiration from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Under the guise of an architecture student, he made a call to the Acassuso Public Works Department to inquire about possible ground handling for tunnels. Subsequently, he persuaded Sebastian Garcia Bolster, a nearby motorcycle repairman, to become a civil engineer on his team. They determined how to drill a tunnel that would be 15 meters diagonally into the bank, thereby creating a triangle hypotenuse that would connect the building's basement to the sewer. It would take some large apparatus to accomplish this. It took an hour to use pickaxes to create a hole the size of a Coke bottle. It was not feasible. Therefore, in order to use an electro-pneumatic drill, we had to bring in a 220-watt generator, Araujo explains. They discovered more men were involved in the heist as their plans came together. As muscle career criminal Ruben Beto de la Torre was brought on, and Luis Mario Vitet Selanes joined as well. The latter would serve as the official police negotiator. They also enlisted a second individual, known only in the movie as the Doc, who was allegedly a skilled thief and a lawyer. Years of tweaking eventually brought the plan to life. Law enforcement would probably assume that Araujo's team would leave into the city's sewer system rather than heading further into the city's underbelly. To avoid ever having to step outside onto the street, the group purchased an old van and had it modified with a floor hatch so they could park it above a manhole and climb straight inside. They brought in the Kid to provide extra strength and a man named Julian Zaloecheverria to drive. What happened on the day of the robbery? With their pistols drawn and prepared to take hostages, the group of robbers broke through the bank's front entrance at approximately 12:38 p.m. on Friday, January 13, 2006. After fetching the bank manager from the top level, Selanes took the guy down to the basement where the security boxes and safe were located. He made a security guard give up his gun there, and then he forced him to exit the structure. Araujo and Beto concentrated on controlling hostages and securing the bank's exterior. As soon as police arrived at the bank, Selanes pretended to be negotiating with them in order to buy more time for his cronies to collect the loot. He disguised himself with a yarmulke, spectacles, and a fake mustache to elude snipers and police officers looking in the bank's windows. He deliberately released 2 hostages at 2:30 p.m. In the meantime, Bolster was in the basement, smashing deposit boxes as fast as he could with a special cannon. Bolster claims, "I didn't stop to see what was inside, if it actually opened or anything. Just destroying every lock, one by one." Once they had opened 143 boxes in 2 hours, it was time to make their getaway. Selanes declared their readiness to surrender to the authorities. Selanes remembers promising the negotiators, "Bring us some pizzas, bring us some soda, we'll have a little food and surrender." By the time forces entered, he knew they would already be outside the building. The bandits threw hair strands around to confuse crime scene investigators and sprayed chlorine all over the bank to hide their DNA. Then they vanished without a trace, disappearing into their tunnels and the sewer. 2 small boats, one with a motor, were waiting for them there. The men had to paddle through the sewage to get to their vehicle, which was 14 streets distant because the motor would not start. To safeguard the loot, Araujo sprawled out atop it in one of the boats. They made it to the van and their safe place without incident. The police were not aware of this. In the movie, Araujo states, "As soon as possible, I wanted to make sure they weren't behind and turn on the TV. Were we not so far away from the money here?" After giving the money to each other equally, the men left. According to Solanes, he left in his car with 4 trash bags full of cash. At first, the escape puzzled authorities. When an employee of the bank noticed some odd furniture covering the hole, they realized the gang had dug a tunnel out. They discovered explosives and a missive from Araujo inside, which stated in Spanish, "In a wealthy community, devoid of weapons or resentment, money is the only thing that matters, not love." The take was enormous. The job was flawless. There were no leads for the police, and nobody was hurt. It appeared that Araujo and his associates had pulled off the century's biggest theft, and they would now be free to bask in their wealth. How did the wife expose her husband and his friends? Weeks after the robbery, Beto became suspicious of something. In the movie, he remarks, "I find my stash bag is out of place when I come back home one day. I noticed that the money stack had fallen quite a bit." Alicia Di Tullio, his wife, told him that she had stolen from Beto without authorization, taking roughly $300,000 and some safety deposit money. After 18 years of dating, the two got into a furious dispute. Beto walked out of the house with his remaining riches in a rage, demanding that she return what she had taken right now. Di Tullio became enraged and reported her husband to the authorities. The men recognized that their well-laid scheme had failed. "De la Torre's wife is going to turn us all in soon. She's asking for each of us to pay her $300,000. If we won't, she's going to give us up." Solanes remembers the doc frantically telling him over the phone. Solanes shot back, saying, "Doc, she can move out from here." "I'm not giving her anything. Let Beto handle everything with her and keep my hands off." However, Beto was unable to stop his wife from stopping what she had done. Di Tullio was a confidential witness in the arrest and charging of Beto, Bolster, Solanes, Araujo, and Zalo Echeverria. She informed us that she was aware of the circumstances. Prosecuting District Attorney Gaston Garbus states in the movie, "For the purposes of this case, there is no proof that allows us to say what happened between Beto and Di Tullio." I think it has to do with the money and wasn't motivated by jealousy over the other woman's presence. Beto affirmed that she had financial gain in mind. He said, "That was the tragic ending of my story, and I think of everyone's too. She valued it more than family." 2010 saw the sentences of Beto, Araujo, Zalo Echeverria, and Bolster. In exchange for agreeing to a different accelerated trial, Solanes received a 14-year sentence for the robbery, as well as other unspecified crimes that he was discovered to have been related to at the same time. The child and the doctor were never found. All of the men are now free and praised for their infamous theft. None of them completed their sentences. According to Araujo, someone idolized this and saw it as, I don't know, something out of the ordinary. Solanes has more than 30,000 Twitter followers, and the 2020 thriller comedy The Heist of the Century memorialized the gang's tale. Araujo claims that their tale has a pleasant conclusion. Everyone involved in this tale came out on top. Judges received recognition, police officers went on to become detectives, and prosecutors developed in their careers. He claims that the victims' insurance paid them more than they actually did. A number of the individuals in the Heist documentary alluded to the fact that a large portion of the money and jewelry they took was never found. It's nice that everyone is curious. Where is it? It is located in the Cayman Islands in CBU number 24, so you'd better write this down, Araujo remarks cynically. What do you think of the brilliant burglary? Do you believe that if the wife hadn't exposed her husband and his associates, the outcome would have been much better? Do share your views on this in the comments section. For more interesting stories and updates, subscribe to our channel and do not forget to press the bell icon for notifications. Goodbye.